What's that sound? It's for amusement only, the EM and Bingo Pinball Podcast. Welcome back to For Amusement Only. This is Nick Baldridge. I'm still working hard on the multi-bingo since I got back from New York. I've been working hard on the multi-bingo since I got back from New York. I have built up several playfields, installing the apron and wooden surrounds. One for Mystic 8, one for Galaxy, one for Double Up, and I've cleaned and prepared a surf club as well. So with these playfields, along with the shoot-a-line, which I previously cleaned, I should have the ability to implement the vast majority of the bingos. It's pretty exciting. Gaiety and Gaytime, I have a beautiful Gaiety playfield, but no Magic Pockets mechanism, so I can't implement those yet. And I don't have a Miss Universe, which is the only 18-hole bingo, which also has some unique playfield mechanisms, like a switch up near the rebound rubber and a couple other things like that. So, without those, I won't be able to finish everything, but I'll be keeping an eye out on eBay and so forth until one comes up, and one eventually will, I'm certain. But for now, I will be able to implement a huge number. And I went ahead and bit the bullet and started working on moving numbers games when I got back. I have two more fixed number games left from Bally to implement. And then I've got all moving numbers games left, aside from Shoot-A-Line, which needs that alternate playfield I was mentioning. So, I took a look at the moving numbers games and really thought about how I was going to actually move the numbers or move the units that typically move in these games. And I came upon a way to do it, which is very similar to the way that I'm doing the replay register. I actually have a strip of numbers and just kind of trick the player by changing the y-axis position of that strip. For the game that I implemented, the first moving number game or moving feature game, I started with the first Magic Screen game. So this is Carnival Queen. Carnival Queen, the Magic Screen, there's a fixed layer of numbers, which are illuminated as you make your number. Then there is the screen itself, which has a default position where you play straight up bingo, 3, 4, 5 in a row wins, or you can move the screen and reveal different colored sections, which all score separately from each other, and you only need 3, 4, or 5 in a section to win. Well, I tested out the movement by implementing the screen with various positions in the menu system, and it worked beautifully. So I knew I could get it to function, and I went ahead and did it. So Carnival Queen is actually fully functional in the multi-bingo. One thing which is a little interesting is starting with the Magic Screen games and a little bit before with some of the Magic Squares games, Bally really kind of stopped documenting almost anything about the mixers. So they do document wire colors, and you can trace the wire colors from the mixer to the spotting disc or wherever you plan to go, and the spotting disc is fully documented. But the issue is those mixers aren't. So it's great and all that you have the wire colors, but you don't know how many rivets that actually equates to. Luckily, most of the Magic Screen games have been documented, at least in part, by Phil Hooper and contributors to his wonderful website. Carnival Queen Mixer number 1 and the Reflex unit were documented, and so I was able to get the main game portioning absolutely perfect. But for other portioning that requires Mixer 2 through 4, I had to guess. Because it'll show me that there are 5 different rivets, perhaps, out of 23 which will connect to various places, but I don't know how many times that rivet connects somewhere else too. So it might be number 5 and it might be number 13, and it might be more. You just don't know. So that's going to have to be something that I'm going to have to tweak very carefully. I plan to speak with a few folks who are much better technicians than I am and see what their suggestions are for that, if there's any tips or tricks or commonality between some of these undocumented units. And we'll go from there. But I've completed the artwork for the second Magic Screen game, and I'll be implementing the code starting tonight. So I'm very excited to get that started. One little tidbit about the development of the Magic Screen games is that I foolishly decided that I could implement the sectional scoring in a different, easier way than Don Hooker did, because I don't have to worry about these mechanical units and the various positions that they have to roam through. In the Magic Screen games only, there are 2 additional units, 2 steppers. One is called the sequence unit, and the other is called the winner unit. If you have section scoring enabled, meaning the Magic Screen in position A through G or H, depending on your game, or the OK orange sections available, the machine will actually look for winners in each of those sections and step up units rather than devoting several positions on the search disk to it. Because you can win in non-contiguous spots, having the search disk set up is actually pretty impractical. So the method that they came up with to handle this was to use the winner and sequence units. And so for each number that they find, it'll step up the winner unit until there's 3 or more, and then you got a winner. So I decided that instead, hey, I know the number layout. The number layout itself is fixed, and it's just the Magic Screen which is different in each position. I'll just map each position and then write a new function which checks all the sections at once. So I'll still step through the search, which only requires 12 positions now for your default Magic Screen position. Then for section scoring, I'll call my find section winner function, and everything should be great. Well, the issue I ran into is it's really not more efficient to do that. Luckily, the Magic Screens don't change number layout between games, at least any that I have played or can recall off the top of my head. If they do, that's going to get a little tricky. Additional sections which I need to add, for example, the orange section and the extra yellow section and the extra red section, depending on the game, are going to require me to extend that function to return appropriately. But for now, it's working great in Carnival Queen, and it should work well in the next game, which I implement with only minor tweaks. So I'm pretty excited about that. Okay, enough computer talk on an EM podcast. Let's talk about Duncan Brown's amazing Expo talk. He has actually converted the seminar into a webpage, which I'll be linking in the show notes, and it details his quest to gather unproduced playfield designs made by Harry Williams and actually produce games with them. He's making one-offs of these different designs that never actually made it to manufacture, and it's a wonderful story, and I highly encourage everybody to go read the linked item in the show notes. Upcoming EM events, there is the Pacific Pinball Exposition, and that is November 10th through the 13th in Alameda, California. And I would heavily encourage anybody who's in the area to go check that out. They've got bingos, one balls that I've seen from photos of games being set up, tons of wood rails, including the featured game from today, and plenty of EMs to see and enjoy, along with a wide variety of solid-state games as well. it's really a fantastically impressive collection as far as the diversity of games goes. So if you're in the area, go check it out. And I certainly wish that I was. So, today's featured game is 1947's Williams Torchy. Torchy is a flipperless game. It was made in June of 1947, and it is unique in that it has 2 electromagnets under the playfield. They're always energized while you're playing, and when a ball rolls over a button that's over the magnet will suddenly stop and then start again as the ball leaves, flinging the ball in a wild and unpredictable direction. There are several posts which are shaped as 2-inch flippers, which give the appearance of there being flippers, but there's actually no flippers on this game. It's flipperless. So careful nudging is required, and it looks like a blast to play. The play field is pretty open because there has to be room for the magnet to do its thing. But carefully positioned posts look like they direct the action pretty well. You have a saucer at the top that's worth either 10 or 20,000 when lit, flanked by bumpers on either side. You have bumpers below that, behind a rubber, which are worth 50,000 points. And in the center, you have one of the electromagnets, which is worth 10,000 when you roll over it. And that is positioned in a really cool spot in between 2 of these flipper posts and a single small post underneath. So if the magnet takes it and flings it into those flipper posts, it's going to bat back and forth, potentially shooting it all over the place and scoring a lot of points in the process. It looks really cool, that portion of the layout. As we get further down, there are rollovers on either side, each worth 50,000. Then you have diamond bumpers, which are worth 10,000 points, and a saucer in the center, worth 50,000 or 100,000 points. And below that, you have the second electromagnet, worth 10,000 points per rollover. And again, there are rubbers on either side. In this case, they're stretched between 2 posts, a 1.5 or 2-inch rubber there. And it looks like you can get some solid bouncing action. And depending on what the magnet does, you might be able to fling it off of those rubbers into the kickout and then back down. Looks incredibly cool. And below the magnet, there's another one of those single posts. So again, you can nudge it back up into the magnet, causing it to fling all over the place. Just looks like a ton of fun. Below that, you have 3 more kickout holes. The ones on the left and right are worth 10 or 20,000 when lit, and then the one in the center is 50 or 100,000 when lit. On the bottom left and right side are 2 more diamond bumpers worth 10,000 apiece. And then on the bottom center, you have large rubbers stretched across, probably 2.5 or 3, and then a single post right in the center. So again, you can get some good bounces, perhaps back into the kickout holes, if you're lucky, without tilting. 5-ball game. The artwork on the playfield really draws your eye to the magnets. Of course, that's the main feature of the game, the main gameplay gimmick. But you've got a beautiful purple, red, yellow, blue, and white paint scheme, and it's really bubbly, is probably the best way to describe it. The back glass is incredibly colorful and also fairly unique in that it uses very dark colors for the background. You have black at the top portion, which includes your 10,000 and 100,000 point scores up to 600,000. Beginning at 700,000, 800,000, and 900,000, you've got a special called out area on a ribbon, which is below that black area, and it has a dark purple or blue background, depending. So, looking at the graphic, you have a woman who looks like she's dancing, perhaps, and in the background, you have a cityscape with a large illuminated sign that says Torchy. Just beautiful. The numbers are called out in all these different colors. The 10,000 points at the top are circled or encapsulated in ovals, I guess you'd say. The 100,000 points are all in ribbons. The ones on the left and right kind of trail out from a very large ribbon in the center and down the sides. And then you have your 700,000 through 900,000, as I mentioned, in the bottom center. Gorgeous artwork. Looking at the cabinet, if I recall, the IPDB only has the ad and not a picture of the cab. But if I recall, it's got a base coat of yellow with a red kind of angled design on the coin door and on the sides of the game. The game is beautiful. I'm really interested to play it one day. I have a feeling that it's a pretty good player. On IPDB, it's not rated very highly, but there's only one person who's rated it. So I'd like to form my own opinion. Well, that's all for tonight. Thank you very much for listening. My name again is Nick Baldridge. You can reach me at foramusementonlypodcast@gmail.com, or you can call me on the Bingos line. That's 724-BINGOS1, 724-246-4671. You can listen to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Pocket Casts via RSS, on Facebook, on Twitter at Bingo Podcast. You can follow me on Instagram, also at Bingo Podcast, or you can listen to us on our website, which is foramusementonly.libsyn.com. Thank you very much for listening, and I'll talk to you next time.